Hello, my wonderful people. Wey people dey drag say na dem get Lagos. Abi Omo Eko, Omo Eko. I just want you to listen to this person that really give us how Eko come about. If you want to really look at the Eko situation, who found Eko is Benin. Benin conquered Eko so many 100 years ago. It's not the one that people will come out, they are the one that get Eko. And if you go and find out those people that is making noise on social media, they are not really from Eko, they are not really from Lagos, and they will be calling themselves they are Lagosians. I don't know how they become Lagosians when you know that you are not origin for that land. Eko is no man's land, it's for everybody. And when you even hear what the man said, most people in that Lagos is Igbo, not even Yoruba, is Igbo. Just watch what the man said about Eko, how Eko come to all these things they have been dragging on social media. I just want you to listen very well. Take your time and watch it. If you know that first time to come across this page, please like and share. And leave your comment below comment section. Just watch it. Thank you.
So the Beninese actually invaded Lagos, Eko, that place, and then they conquered it. Now, when they invaded, they met people there. Some of the people that they met there are Aworis and other people. Now, all of those other people that they met there are loosely referred to as Yoruba people. Now, the word Yoruba is a recent word. 200 years ago, there was nothing like the word Yoruba. It's a recent word. So, I mean, before then,
ago, there was
I mean, I don't
like
want
Jesus.
to go into there because that one, a lot of people are emotionally attached to that. So if you go there, you might start, but anyway, so before the British came, you were either Awori, or you were Ibomina, or you were Ibadan, or you were Owu, or you were Egba, or you were Ekiti, or you were Ondo, or you were Ikale. There was nothing like Yoruba. So when the Benin came, they conquered Lagos, or rather Eko. They called the place Eko. They renamed it Eko, just like you have with the Fulanis now. You see, when the Fulanis conquer a place, they don't leave the place with its original name. They change the name of the place. So that place called Eko, even before that name, Eko, it had a name. But the challenge is that we don't know what that name is. It's been lost in history. Now, the word Eko actually means barracks. It actually means barracks or war camp. So if you schooled in Benin, or if you're from Benin, there's a place in Benin called Ekosodin. That Ekosodin is actually a corruption of the word of the words Eko Oshodi, meaning Oshodi's war camp. And it's now a favorite place for students of the University of Benin. They stay there. It's like a satellite campus. So the Beninese owned Lagos as a right of conquest for maybe about, let's say, 400 years. Now, even the present Oba of Lagos, Oba Rilwan Wakiolu, has stated it, and he said it on video, you can actually watch it, that he and his ancestors are from Benin. However, just as the Benin owned Lagos as a right of conquest, they lost Lagos to the British. So Oba Akitoye. Now, some Yorubas, in a bid to make the name a Yoruba name, they call him Akintoye. No, that's not his name. His name is actually Akitoye. 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 There's a letter that exists, when they were transferring Lagos to the British. And then he was telling them that before you guys came, this was Benin territory. So now, what happens in modern times? In modern times, when civilization has come, you have nation states, all those areas that were taken by right of conquest, when a nation becomes a nation state, it's returned to the original Aboriginal people. And that would be the people loosely referred to as Yoruba. Like I told you again, Yoruba is just it's a word that was dreamt up by a man called Samuel Ajayi Crowther.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because according to the history, we were taught in schools, Samuel Ajayi Crowther, and who created the English.
Well, Samuel Ajayi Crowther did a lot of damage to the people called Edekiri. So etymologically, they are called Edekiri, but then the name of the people before Samuel Ajayi Crowther did his damage was Omoti Olu Iwabi, and then it's now corrupted to Omoluwabi. So the actual name is Omoti Olu Iwabi. Now, Olu Iwa is actually believed to be the biblical Noah. So if you go to Yoruba etymology, you see that a lot of the Yoruba orishas are actually in the Bible. They're actually in the Bible. For instance, now you take an orisha like La Murudu. La Murudu. La Murudu is unchanged. The name is unchanged in the Bible. So in the English translation, they call him Nimrod. But as you know, I studied Hebrew and I read scripture in Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek. In Hebrew, the name is Na Murudu. Na Murudu. But you see, you say, okay, La Murudu is different from Na Murudu. No, among the Yorubas, N and L are interchangeable. N and L are interchangeable. So for instance now, Yoruba will say, some Yoruba will say, Ki Nowi. That's what did you say? And others will say, Ki Lowi. So for instance, maybe if your name was like Limota, some Yorubas will call you Nimota, and then others will call you Limota. So it's like with the Igbos, for instance. With the Igbos, they have a challenge with the R. So some Igbos call R L, and others call L R. So for instance now, they will say Odili, others will say Odiri. Like my daughter's name.
Another very good example.
Exactly.
Ora.
Like my daughter's name is Ebele. Ebele. Ebele Chiku. Ebele Chiku. But some Igbos will call it Ebere. Ebere Chiku. It's the same name. So that's it. So when Samuel Ajayi Crowther is actually from modern day Oyo State. He was captured by Fulani slavers and taken to Lagos. And then he was sold to the Portuguese. What you have to understand there is that a lot of people are not aware that there are more Yorubas in Brazil than there are in Nigeria. Okay, let's look at it now. The population of Nigeria is said to be about 210 million. Of that, maybe Yorubas constitute something like about 40 million. Do you agree with me? Now, the population of black people in Brazil is 120 million. And most of them, something like about 60%, are actually of Yoruba origin. So Yoruba is spoken in Brazil. Now, don't forget, these are places I've been to. You know, if you go to Salvador Bahia, they speak Yoruba there. They actually speak Yoruba. If you go to Cuba, the Yoruba that they speak in Cuba is better than the Yoruba that they speak in Lagos. But they don't call it Yoruba, they call it Oruba. Oruba. So Samuel Ajayi Crowther did so much damage to those people. You know, when the British were trying to come up with the country called Nigeria, they needed an ethnic identity. So they had an ethnic identity with the Hausa and then with the Fulani. And then also with the Igbos, but they didn't have an ethnic identity for the people now loosely called Yoruba, which are etymologically called Edekiri. So they tasked Samuel Ajayi Crowther to come up with a name. Now don't forget, Samuel Ajayi Crowther was taken as a slave boy by Fulanis from his village. Now the name that they were calling all those people is the name that Samuel Ajayi bastardized and called Yoruba. Now, I know the word, I'm not going to say it here because it's not a good word. It has a bad meaning. So if you want to understand, you know, for instance now, if you understand, even in that so-called Yoruba Bible, the word Eshu is not actually devil.
I've said that many times.
I went to Cuba. When I went to Cuba, you know, I went to a church in Cuba, in a place in a part of Cuba called Trinidad. Trinidad, there's a country called Trinidad. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Trinidad de Playa in Cuba. They have a church there, and one of the saints there is Eshu. As a matter of fact, in Lagos, one of the most popular places in Lagos is actually named after Eshu. Eshu is not devil. But there was so much pressure on Samuel Ajayi Crowther to come up with a name for devil, and then he now came up with the Yoruba Orisha. And that even Eshu is not the full name. The full name is Eshu Elegbera. And then, you know, all over Yoruba land, they used to have Ojubo. Ojubo is shrine. Ojubo. Now, the place that you know in Lagos called Oju Elegba is actually named after Eshu. It's actually called Ojubo Elegbara. And then, for short, just like how, you know, people call Eko Oshodi, and they now bastardize it as Eko Sodin. For short, now Ojubo Elegbara, which means Eshu's shrine, now became Oju Elegba. But if you go there, Oju Elegba, the shrine is still there, and it's still written plainly, Ojubo Elegbara. So you begin to understand, because I went around these countries, going there, spent a lot of money, you know, going from country to country to help, and a lot of Yoruba Obas reached me privately to tell me, thank you for what you've done for our people. And you see, there's a lot of intellectual laziness among the black peoples of West Africa. So you see, you know, if we want to travel, we want to go to New York, we want to go to London, we don't go. I'll give you a very good example. Jews in America, they are so closely linked to Israel. Nigeria, the Yoruba of Nigeria, this is something that I've said to the Uni, is that we need to be closely linked to the Yoruba peoples in Brazil, in Cuba, where they speak one of the purest forms of Yoruba, and other parts of the world. So basically, in answer to your question, that's what Samuel Ajayi Crowther did to what you call Yoruba.
Okay, awesome. Can you mute me when I'm talking so you can hear me clearly? Okay, so you're muted. Thank you very much. Awesome stuff. I'd like us to expatiate a little bit on Eshu. It's not easy to have you here, so I want to milk as much as I can from you regarding this topic. Let's talk about Eshu. Let's talk about the difference between the Yoruba Eshu and the biblical concept of Satan. Because a lot of people up until today, Eshu lagbara ko ni gbala, meaning the devil is powerful, but he has no salvation. So the average Yoruba man who is a Christian prays against Eshu. So what exactly is Eshu? Can you just throw a bit of highlight on the deity?
All the Orishas in Yoruba land, all of them were human beings. There is not one of them that was a spirit. All of them, they were human beings, except Edumare. Edumare is the creator God. So for instance, I'll give you a very good example now. Shango was a real human being. His mother is actually what they call Kappa. Because you have to understand, ancient Yorubas, you know, the different people now usually called Yoruba, they were very, very, very modern in their approach to history. Now, the problem is that colonialism has now robbed the modern day Yoruba of their history. So you sent me a video about a girl saying that Yoruba people are very ignorant. They call all Igbo, all Southerners Igbo. That's not true. If you see, in every Yoruba community, they have people called Ayo. So for instance, if you see any Yoruba man today, maybe his name is Ayodele or Ayobadejo, or maybe his name is Ayontade, their ancestors were people that used to do Oriki. Because all the people that used to do Oriki, they were Ayo. The word Ayo means drummer, because Oriki goes with drums. So each of the Yoruba clans dialects, whether Ibomina, whether Oyo, whether Ibadan, whether Egba, whether Uru, Gbagbo, all of them, they had their iron. So the Benins, they carved their history. So for instance now, 500 years ago until today, if you go to Benin, if you go to the Oba's palace and you leave, as soon as you leave, somebody is going to carve everything that you did in wood, and there's a place in the Oba's palace that they keep it there. They will carve everything in wood. Now, my grandfather was Olu of Warri. The same thing used to happen with our people, Ishekiri. But the Yorubas did not used to carve their history. The Yorubas, they used to oriki their history. So they had in every can an iron. Now, maybe for a festival, like maybe Ojude Oba or some of that, now the iron will go around. So the prominent people in the community, the iron will come and then they will sing your oriki, trace your lineage for you. And then, so that's how they kept their history. In English, they are called griots. They are called griots. So for those, the Yoruba, and I'm not talking about pre-colonial Yoruba, they had a name for every tribe in Nigeria. Every tribe in Nigeria. Now, a lot of those names are lost. Only the major tribe, the names that they call the major tribes, are still remaining. For instance,